We were the only two passengers on this plane which brought us from Rwanda to Kogatendi airstrip in the Northern Serengeti. We were met by our guide and driver and set off straight away to the Mara River. The big draw here at this time of year is to see the mass migration of wildebeest crossing the river. But of course the timing of the crossings is unpredictable. We watched and waited for about an hour as the number of wildebeest steadily built up and approached the river bank, but just when it seemed they were about to cross, they turned away. We decided to call it a day and continued on towards our camp. Ruppel's vultures are the highest flying bird in the world, having been recorded at 37,000 feet. We stayed at the Nomad mobile camp and thought it was excellent. The accommodation was very comfortable. The tents have no running hot water, but hot showers were available on request, with the water heated in this stove and raised up in one of these large buckets. It looked primitive, but worked very well. After an early morning start the next day, we were soon seeing lots of different animals. Our guide heard over the radio that some wildebeest were crossing the river, so we went to take a look. It was clear that the best viewpoint was where these other vehicles were converging, so we made a rapid and very bumpy trip over there. We then spent about 3 hours watching this quite incredible spectacle, but I've condensed it into a few minutes in this video. The vast majority of the wildebeest cross without difficulty, but there are of course hazards. After watching tens of thousands of animals crossing, and still with no end in sight, we decided to see what else we could spot. A good guide is essential on a safari. They're able to spot so much more than most of us ever could. When we first spotted this cheetah, it was just walking without any clear purpose, but then it suddenly turned and ran, gradually increasing speed in the opposite direction. We couldn't initially see what it was after, but then we saw a Thompson's gazelle, then two Thompson's gazelles, a mother and young one. The cheetah was focused on the young one. It disappeared from our sight just over a slight ridge. Our guide broke park rules and went off-road to give us a close-up view of the outcome. Astonishingly, at the same time, a black-backed jackal had caught another young Thompson's gazelle. The variety of wildlife here in the Northern Serengeti was better than anywhere else we have been. Our 4 days here were truly wonderful. For the second leg of our Tanzania visit, we travelled to the Ngorogoro conservation area and crater. Here we stayed at the Nomad Entamanu camp. It's in a beautiful location on the rim of the crater, but unfortunately it seems to be permanently blowing a gale. The crater is over 10 miles wide and covers an area of over 100 square miles. We spent a full day with a guide in the crater. We saw a lot of wildlife, including some different birds, but it's the setting that is the most impressive about Ngorogoro. On the outer slopes of the crater wall there are several Maasai villages, and we were taken to visit one of them. We were also given a demonstration of how they prepare their meat. The Maasai eat only meat and drink a mixture of milk and blood. No fruit, no vegetables. The rather splendid sandals are made from motorcycle tyres. And that concluded our short visit to northern Tanzania.